We live in an amazing world filled with wonder, discovery, transformation. How is it that we've forgotten the magic?
Create a space where you just get to open and trust that the universe is bringing you exactly what you need.
Why do we not remember that we have guardians, angels, and guides ever present as companions?
What if you don't have to know? What if you just get to open and step into the dimensions of frequency?
There comes a moment we must reclaim our status as keepers of the kingdom. We too are guardians of the castle.
What unique qualities or talents do I possess that align with the essence of this castle? How does this castle represent a part of myself that I wish to explore or develop?
We have forgotten that we are not on a journey, that we are the journey.
Welcome. You have entered the realm of 1111 Talk Radio. Your host is Simran. It's time to discover your own language with the universe. Empower yourself, broaden your mind, open your heart, and discover who you are. Now, here's your host, Simran.
This world is the most magnificent and magical place there could ever be. But do we really walk around like that? Do we open ourselves to what's possible here? Do we even consider it? I know that my life certainly became magical as all the signs, symbols, and synchronicities started over 25 years ago. And as I continued to walk that path of signs as my personal growth path, this world did become a beautiful place of magic and mystery. And this is a place that we are here to own, to take care of, to revel in, and to pass on in that same way. But our consciousness needs to shift to look through that lens, to do the work that is required, to reclaim the kingdom. And to do that, we have to do some inner work. We have to allow some imagination. There has to be some exploration. And we need to learn how to play again. So have I got a show for you. We are about to move into the kingdom of magic and mystery. And it's a space that is full of wonder and discovery and transformation. A space where magic lives in every corner and where you are invited to explore deeper truths. It's a place where you get to venture into castles. You can explore art and dance and relationships, design, water, animals, all manner of things. And you're not alone. I can't wait to introduce you to the kingdom of magic and mystery, the 7 castles of revelation, inspiration, and creativity to activate joy and freedom. This is the title of a new book by Cynthia James. Cynthia James is a transformational and emotional integration leadership coach. She's an inspirational leader, a TEDx and international speaker who guides people to make changes at a deep level for lasting healing. Host of the acclaimed podcast, Women Awakening, Cynthia James excels as a coach, singer, composer, and best-selling, multiple award-winning author of 5 books. Well, I can't wait to dive in. So without further ado, welcome Cynthia to 1111 Talk Radio. It's a joy to have you here.
Thank you, Simran. I'm so happy to be with you.
This is a really necessary conversation right now, particularly because it's so easy to get caught up in the gloom and doom, in the negativity, in the thoughts that swirl through, the 60 million thoughts that come through our minds that are not even ours, and get hooked by them. But to look through the lens of magic and mystery, that creates an entirely different world. How has this type of lens impacted your life and become the spark of inspiration to share it with so many others?
This was evolutionary. This is my 6th book. I came from a childhood that was violent and abusive. We were on welfare and there was a lot of things that were happening. So my way of dealing with it, of coping with it, was fantasy. I mean, I could step inside myself and I would see myself traveling the world and I'd see myself on big stages and I'd sing and I'd put on clothes and make up stories. And I didn't realize at the time, because I was so young, that actually that was my inner self saying, this is who you've come here to be. So when the book started coming through, I had just come back from taking a pilgrimage to Egypt, and I had just come back. I was meditating, and this voice said, write this down. So I opened my journal and it said the kingdom and it said draw 7 circles. And it didn't make any sense to me. And so I'm saying, well, okay, well, what does this mean? And literally the voice is like saying, not now. And so a few months later, the thought of this journal comes back and I go and look for my journals and I open up a page and there it is. And then the voice said, now write the book, The Kingdom of Magic and Mystery. And the 7 circles are 7 castles that live within every soul. You're going to teach them to activate it because people have forgotten that they're universal magicians.
What's especially powerful about this is the 7. I love numbers. 11 has been that number of mastery. 1111 represents that gateway of mastery that we walk through with the 4 pillars of physical, mental, emotional, and energetic. And my latest trilogy actually has the 7s in the 3 books of Living, Being, and Knowing, because it really is a very deep spiritual undertaking and also a very high walk. So I'm not surprised that there are 7 castles within this beautiful jaunt that you take us into. And you brought up how, as a child, you were very imaginative and creative. And for most people, they were that way. And for some people, they were never that way just because they never really had that type of childhood. But through the educational system, through challenges, through life circumstances, sometimes that creative spirit slips into the background. And what replaces it is a sense of dullness, a sense of not able to see things in an imaginative or illuminated way. Has that been the case for people that have picked up the book, or was that the case at all for you that sparked this foray back into the imagination?
Yeah, I think what you're talking about, that dullness, is really catapulted into a state of survival. What you're doing is you're not thriving. You're not open and available to the possibilities and the potential of your life. You are trying to just get from day to day, moment to moment. That looks like money. For some people, it looks like addictions. For some people, it looks like relationships. But whatever it is, you cease to connect to that light within you that came here to shine on the planet. Part of my journey was relationships. My father was an alcoholic. My stepfather was a pedophile. And so I was going to find this perfect man that was going to make me whole, that was going to love me. So I would give myself away and my needs and my desires and all of that away instead of understanding that I had what I needed within me. The survival was looking for love, but I always felt lost and like I didn't belong.
We have these experiences. Some of us have really, really challenging hardships that we have to go through, like the things you're describing. And others might seemingly have the perfect childhood, but somehow all of us seem to separate and distance ourselves from ourselves. What I love about your book is this magical kingdom is that metaphor of returning to self, reclaiming self, reclaiming the majesty that we are by going through these beautiful castles that you have us step into. And so talk about what magic means to you. What does it mean in the context of the kingdom and this book?
It's the energy of possibility and joy and creativity. I believe that we live in a creative universe and that we're manifestations of that universe. And if that's true, then we have at our fingertips everything that I call magic to create, to explore, to expand, to reveal who we've come here to be. So we can activate a sense of freedom and joy that may have been pushed down by life circumstances, but the magic within us and the activation of those codes within us allows us to light up and to shine and to be fearless and fierce in moving through the world.
We are creative capacity. We are the sons and daughters of creation. Innately, we must be endowed with those gifts and capacities to create. But when we forget that, when we see ourselves more from the position of victim rather than the authority of our lives, all of a sudden the magic does disappear. And I love how it is composed of mystical dialogues that help us connect to the deeper self, but yet at the same time, it's practical magic. Talk about how this is utilized in a practical sense. The idea that the mind would see outside of themselves as a castle, but to also see our own inner architecture.
In the book, the castles are described in vivid detail, what they look like, where they came from, how they were created, who are the guardians of each castle. But each castle is designed to help you open and activate a place within you. So we all have imagination. Whether we're visual or not, we have imagination. So the descriptions of the castles and the land and the doorways and the interiors of the castle and the exteriors of the castle allow everybody to activate their imagination so that they are connected to the way the castle looks for them.
As they are beginning this process, before even entering the castles, do they have to be in a certain state of mind or have a certain space set up for this kind of exploration? How would you suggest they begin?
A quiet space is always good, a place where you won't be disturbed. People do it differently. Some people do a little meditation to open their energy, and it's a short, like 5 or 7 minutes, to just open their energy so that they can receive. Other people will listen to music to calm themselves down. Some people will do something like walking or yoga or something to open themselves up before they enter the castle. And all of the castles in the book, there are meditations throughout the book. And at the end of the book, there's a QR code where people can download all of the meditations if they haven't gotten it on Audible or something. So it was created to have you have a space, to create a space where you just get to open and trust that the universe is bringing you exactly what you need in whatever castle. And you don't have to follow the castles the way I wrote them. You can decide what castle is calling you this week or this month or this day and enter that castle and explore.
These castles, they're, I would imagine, not a one-time experience that once you visited a castle, you can return to that and it will probably take you deeper or take you into a different direction than before.
Yeah, and you can go into a castle more than once, depending on what's happening in your life right now, what's calling you, what project wants to evolve, what clarity you want. You can just go into that castle and begin to dive deep and allow the castle to give you the information that you need.
What kind of person needs this book, needs this experience, needs to allow themselves to venture into these castles? And what's this going to do for them?
A lot of people on this planet need this kind of space and guidance because people are feeling lost. They're feeling overwhelmed. They're feeling helpless. They're feeling hopeless. They're feeling like they don't have a voice. I say if you are feeling stuck in any way, shape, or form, if you know something's wanting to emerge within you, then you get to open that space. And I will tell you, I have a son. He has a child with Downs and he's married and they've been going through a lot because they live in Los Angeles. I sent him the book and he called me up and he said, Mom, I started doing this book. He said, I forgot that I had magic.
Mm.
He said, I forgot. And he said, I had pushed my meditation aside and I was just busy doing stuff. And he said, I forgot to be quiet. So I think anybody can use this book to anchor themselves, to awaken parts of themselves that may have never been seen or have been asleep. You can open these places so that you can see, because the universe is talking to you. I mean, it's there for you. It's communicating with you. But what the castles can do for you is help you get still enough to be able to listen.
And I think that that's one of the biggest necessities right now for individuals in this very busy, distracted, continuously trying to speed faster than the speed of light world. I think to remember to pause and to still, for men and women, to remember to wonder and imagine and that things are possible is really powerful because I think so often we're out there trying to change the form. We don't realize what needs to change is the information within instead of the forming outside. You have a podcast called Women Awakening.
Yeah.
Talk about how this book is really powerful for women, especially in that conversation of us balancing our masculine and feminine energies and returning to that true, authentic feminine power that we hold.
The podcast was birthed in the pandemic. I had been working with a partner and we had a thing called Women Creating Our Futures. And an offshoot of that was Academy of Women Emerging. And when the pandemic hit, everything just sort of stopped. And so I was meditating and was like, okay, well, what do women need? And what kept coming through is that women need to see possibility. So the podcast, I think I've interviewed like 258 women around the world. And the podcast has every woman talk about their story, where they came from, what caused them to go into the area that they've gone in today and to do the work they're doing today. And every single one of them wants to make a difference. And so I feel like the feminine on the planet, we've gone from being from the early 1900s, we were property, told what to do, and our job was to take care of the home and the family or whatever. But the other part was that then it was the suffragettes and the women fighting for their rights and all of that. But the core of who we are is the essence of loving and nurturing and caring and compassion. And I think that what each one of the women that I've interviewed has shown me is that there was a moment of awakening, a moment where they got clear that they were being called to do something not just for themselves, but to support other women, to teach other women, to show other women the possibilities of their bringing their gifts to the planet. It's been a miraculous thing for me because I had no idea what I was doing when I started this. I mean, I was just like, oh, I'll do a podcast. But what happened is it's been a healing salve, not only for the listeners, but for me as well.
And then to follow up with this book, The Kingdom of Magic and Mystery, 7 Castles of Revelation, Inspiration, and Creativity to Activate Joy and Freedom, must really be an opportunity and a pathway for women to deep dive into themselves, to reclaim that authority, to have that awakening now. Can you speak a little bit to the place of presence? Our presence and our listening are so important. And so often we are talking, but I don't know how often individuals, especially women, listen to the words that are coming out of their mouth. And those words are either activating the negative things in their life or activating the positive things in their life. But we're so busy wanting to be heard that we're not listening. How can listening and presence be amplified or be used as the first step into this work to really get the most out of it?
Well, that's a really powerful question. So here's the thing I feel. We live in a culture that is full of noise. And it can look like social media, can look like busyness or whatever. The thing is that the stillness that, they talk about the still small voice. It really is still and small. And it is consistently and constantly guiding us if we listen. What you were talking about was self-talk. If you are not taught that you're beautiful, if you're not taught that you're powerful, if you're not taught that you're dynamic, then what you do is you begin to believe the things that are being fed to you, that you're not enough, that you're stupid, that you can't take care of yourself, that you're not worthy. And you not only take it in as a belief, you then begin to speak it, to think it and speak it into your world. And then the universe, the law of attraction works. So you just keep calling it in and you keep experiencing the very thing you're saying. But when you learn to do positive self-talk, which is where affirmations come in, it's like, I am beautiful, I am powerful, I am worthy, I am successful, I am mighty, I am fearless. When you start saying those kinds of things, the universe goes, yes. And it starts sending you things and people and experiences that open the portals for you to step through to your greatness. And I want to say to the revelation of your purpose, because purpose isn't something you find, it's encoded in you. But you have to clear all the clutter out of the way to tap into it and bring it to life.
The Kingdom of Magic and Mystery is designed to be a versatile and engaging experience for anyone with a love for imagination, creative endeavors, and the wonders of a magical world. Through vivid storytelling, insightful teachings, and practical exercises, you're going to uncover tools to embrace your inner magic, spark creativity, and deepen your connection to the mysteries of life. This is a book or audiobook that's perfect for dreamers, seekers, and anyone longing to create a life filled with wonder. It's a book to be your guide to unlocking the magic that lives within you. So it's time to discover the power of your intuition, imagination, and the endless possibilities that await you in the kingdom of magic and mystery. And if you're someone that wants to do this with others, how about start a book club? Or if you already have a book club, go ahead and utilize this book within it. And if you do so, you can invite Cynthia James to one of your meetings. The name of the book is The Kingdom of Magic and Mystery, 7 Castles of Revelation, Inspiration, and Creativity to Activate Joy and Freedom. Find out more at cynthiajames.net. Once again, that's cynthiajames.net. Join my Substack. My publication is Beyond the Illusion, and you can find it at iamsimran1111.substack.com. That link is in the bio description. You'll actually receive all of the 1111 magazine issues on audio as part of that, in addition to the weekly prompt, inquiry, contemplation, and meditation that I provide to all of the subscribers on the annual membership. That link is in the bio description. We'll be right back after these messages.
You are listening to 1111 Talk Radio. Simran is an award-winning author, publisher of 1111 Magazine, powerful speaker of wisdom, and a life mentor. Find out more at iamsimran.com. Now, back to 1111 Talk Radio.
I really enjoy working individually with people. If you're looking for some additional support and guidance, and you really want to dive into the subtle, then there are quite a few options on my website at iamsimran.com that have to do with shadow work or manifestation if you want a more focused approach on a particular thing, as well as individual sessions around deciphering signs, symbols, and synchronicities, gaining a better understanding of how the universe is speaking to you, your particular dialect. That link is in the bio description. Creativity has been my essence, my way of being for as long as I can remember. And I think that on this planet, we really are here to build creative playgrounds. I think oftentimes the careers we have, the identities that we take on, these are personas that our mind or our ego or our personality wants to have. Ultimately, we're really here to play. We're here for love and kindness and friendship. We're here for imagination and to discover our creative power. But to do that, we have to go back inside ourselves. We have to reignite that spark that we let dull or hide away. And we have to open ourselves to the inner kingdom that exists and become the queens and kings of that kingdom. Well, my guest today has created a beautiful book, has coloring books, and has other books. But this particular book, The Kingdom of Magic and Mystery, is going to help you spark all of that creativity, that imagination, that curiosity, and that interpersonal power that you want to amplify. I invite you to grab a group of girlfriends or a group of your guy friends and to have a special book club on this book, to go through each of the castles and begin to experience yourself in a different way, to have conversations around this so that you amplify the energy and you start to attract things to your life that you really desire because you're learning more and more about yourself. Again, the book is called The Kingdom of Magic and Mystery, 7 Castles of Revelation, Inspiration, and Creativity to Activate Joy and Freedom. You can find out more at cynthiajames.net, and it is there that you can actually register to invite Cynthia to one of your book club meetings to have a part of a discussion. Wouldn't that be exciting? Cynthia James is a transformational and emotional integration leadership coach. She's an inspirational leader, TEDx and international speaker, and she guides people to make changes at a deep level for lasting healing. Welcome back, Cynthia. I can't wait to dive into these castles. Will you tell us a little bit more about them?
Yeah. Each castle represents an aspect of life that wants to emerge and be revealed. So let me just take you through them. The first one is called the Castle of Magic. That is the entree. That is you stepping into the field where you open your mind, your intellect, your being to remember the magical energy that you brought on the planet. It's really exploring the magic that lives within you because you are magic. You are beautiful and powerful. That's the place where you start exploring and opening to that energy and that beauty and that creativity that's always been with you. And then there's the castle of art. Now, the castle of art is about activating your creativity. And that doesn't mean it has to look like painting or it has to look like drawing. It could look like the way you dress. It could look like the way you create your environment. It could look like the way you write poetry, or it could look like the way you operate in your work field where you are consistently in a mode of innovation. So that castle allows your creativity to come to life fully. The castle of dance, I believe movement is medicine. And so the castle of dance allows us to begin to explore, how does our body move with feelings? How does it move when it's sad? How does it move when it's joyous? How does it move when there's love or when there's pain? And so once you begin to do that, then you can begin to know that you can dance out your feelings. Whenever I do workshops or keynotes, I always add an element of movement for the people to be able to express where they are and what the body wants to say, because we live in a culture that wants us to kind of be constricted and sit down, and that's not what we came here to be. So then there's the castle of relationships. And relationships are about the whole spectrum of relationships. Your relationship to yourself, your relationship to the universe or spirit, your relationship to family, your relationship to friends, your relationship to loved ones. So there are places in the castle of relationships where you can go and explore each one of these areas. And there's meditations to help you go in and open what wants to be revealed. Then there's the castle of design. And the castle of design, some people think about that as like, oh, is this architecture? I mean, it could be. But design is about innovation and creativity. So one of the things, because I work with leaders, it's like, let's use the castle of design to design your next project or to design your next program. You can use it to just open the space of innovation in a way you may not have thought of, because it takes you out of the linear expression and takes you into the field of knowing that there's possibility beyond what you knew. Then there's the castle of water. Now, the castle of water is about emotions. We live in a culture that really doesn't support us expressing our emotions. You know, we're told not to, boys are told don't cry. We're told women are too emotional. We are taught that we're supposed to categorize these emotions without understanding that they're messengers, that they've come here to give us information. And so we can begin to go into that castle of water and begin to flow with these feelings and these thoughts and these desires so that they can help us release anything that doesn't support us and open to what we want to receive to be more creative. And then the last castle is the castle of animals. Animals are messengers. They really are. And they connect us to nature. I remember 2 times in my life. One was I was graduating from a master's program and I was getting ready to do this big exam, and I'm walking down the road and I was nervous, and a hummingbird dropped down in front of me and just hung there. And then for the next week, hummingbirds were everywhere. And when I was about to be ordained, the same thing happened, but with red-tailed hawks. They were everywhere. So it's like you get to learn and you get to listen. If an animal crosses your path or it shows up, you know, there's all kinds of information on what's the spiritual meaning of animals. You can connect there. In the castle, you can go in and you can invite in your animal guides.
These castles sound like such an adventure and so much fun, and also a great deal of depth. I love signs. I love that you shared the signs of the hummingbird and the hawk. As I said before, my work began with teaching people how the conversations with the universe were happening in all manner of ways. And what that path led me to was a real deep understanding of the deeper inner work and the emotions that are required right now, that so many of life's signs are actually showing us. these deep places and pockets where we're holding emotion that needs to be open to, embraced, absorbed, and allowed to be expressed so that it can find its places of neutrality and healing. So I love that you have the castle of art, where there's a space to transmute, and the castle of dance, which allows the body and the cells to express those things that have been held. The castle of water, where that emotion can actually come through and be felt. In my own latest trilogy, my second book in the trilogy being The Seven Illusions That Derail Personal Power and Purpose and Peace, it is all about our animal, the shadow, the animal that we are. And so to utilize your castle of animals to get in touch with nature and also tap into the animal that we are, I think is so, so powerful. Inside of these castles, you have a guardian, keepers that come with it. Can you tell a little bit more about these guardians or keepers and how they support us, how we connect to them and grow that space of intimacy?
This is a very different book than I've ever written, and it was coming in so fast. I'm just going to have to be a vessel here. And it started talking about the guardians. Sometimes there was a guardian that was the birthing place of the castle. Other times there were guardians that were brought in to nurture the castle. One of the things that was important is I was seeing visuals, but I am not a graphic person. I'm not a graphic design person. And so I'm writing all this stuff down and I'm seeing all these images, but I don't know how to translate it. And so I was sitting in front of my computer and I was doing a meditation. I was saying, I need help here because I don't know what to do. And literally this voice said, ask AI. And I'm like, ask AI what? And it said, ask AI. So I took what I had just written and I would put it into ChatGPT and I would say, give me the image of this. And it was such a trip for me, Simran, because literally it was like it caught the image that was coming through me and that's what came up on the page. So the images that are in the book, they came through me, but I also think that the guardians, the angels that were there supporting it, were guiding this because it was so far beyond me. So when you look in the book, you will see them. You'll see what they look like. You'll see the magic around them. It's the same with the castles. You'll see very vivid descriptions that match what I wrote in the book.
That's such a beautiful partnership with spirit as well
Mm-hmm.
as with AI, because I think that there have been a lot of conversations and controversy around AI and how to actually properly steward that technology, not to let it replace our creativity and imagination, but to let it enhance. I'd love to get your take on that. There are a lot of people that are in those spaces of simply wanting to get things done, and they utilize AI to actually write everything for them. But what you've done is different. You've utilized your own creative essence, your own skills and gifts of writing, your own voice, to then allow that to create something that further expresses what you're doing. What is your take on AI in today's world?
I hosted a summit this year and I had 22 speakers. And one of the speakers, his name was Dawa Phillips. He's an AI expert. He was a monk for 13 years. We were having a very deep conversation about this. And here's the thing. He said, really, we're kind of at the tip of the iceberg of what AI can or cannot do. But he said, it's about your relationship to it. It is not it does not take the place of your mind or your creativity or your beauty. It enhances it. And then when I got off the call with him, I thought, okay, if people are saying the universe is all there is, God is all there is, well, then it can't be except AI. It has to be a part of it on some level. So the thing becomes, how do you interact with it? Because one of the things that I was said, he said, what kind of relationship are you creating with AI? If it's a relationship that comes from consciousness, it will respond in kind. And that's what I thought was so cool, because that's what happened with the book. I had no idea how to create these images or to bring to life what I was seeing. It became a prayer every time I would sit down in front of the computer to pull whatever I had written and put in there. It became a prayer of show me. There were only 3 images that were like completely off. I was like, no, but everything else was right on.
Your process is a beautiful modeling for the partnership and communication with AI. Your book is really necessary at this time because many of the experts are saying that with the misuse of AI, we actually will lose our sense of creativity, we'll lose our brain power, we'll lose many of the faculties of our power by giving it over to AI too much. And so you really have modeled beautifully how to do that and are also giving people a tool to unleash their creativity, to stay in their imagination and allow themselves to remember that beauty within themselves that they have and that power within themselves. You start the book off as we enter these castles. You had a template of questions. Would you share a couple of those questions?
Yeah, so each castle, there's 5 questions. The first one is, what unique qualities or talents do I possess that align with the essence of this castle? And then number 2 is, how does this castle represent a part of myself that I wish to explore or develop further? Then, what personal challenges or obstacles do I hope to overcome by entering this castle? What wisdom or knowledge am I seeking that this castle might offer? And number 5 is, how will my journey through this castle help me grow in my relationship with others and with myself?
These 5 questions, as we step into the castle, they really are the places of inquiry that are going to open up the personal growth aspect of this. And then our creative faculties intersect inside of all of that to expand.
It activates your curiosity, and your curiosity is a portal.
Give a little more insight into one of the castles, going into a bit of the external and internal architecture, some of the tools, like how that all works as you move through a castle.
Well, let me go into the castle of design, and because I can talk to you about how I used it for myself. At the beginning of the year, I was feeling distraught about what was happening in the world, and what was happening in our country. It felt so big, that as I was meditating, I'm like, okay, I don't know. What is mine to do? There must be something I'm supposed to do because I'm here. What is it to do? It started giving me the ideas of inviting people that I know because I'm in some organizations with prestigious people. And then it came that I would create a summit. I didn't know anything about doing a summit. I'd been on summits, but I knew it took a lot of work and stuff. So I went into the Castle of Design to really support me in how do I design this summit so it has a frequency, because it was called the Vibrant Living Summit. And how do I create it so it has a frequency to call people? I'm going to read to you the overview of the castle. Castle of Design is an architectural marvel located in the Creative Highlands, an area known for its inspiring landscapes and vibrant community of artisans and designers. This castle is the hub of innovation and creativity in the kingdom, where inventors, architects, innovators, craftsmen, and designers come together to create and collaborate. Its structure embodies the pinnacle of design principles, showcasing a blend of functionality and beauty. And the design is a harmonious fusion of modern and classical elements with sleek lines and grand arches. The exterior walls are made of unique material that changes color with the time of day, reflecting the castle's dynamic spirit. So I would go in and I would go into the innovation lab because that's one of the spaces. I would ask to be shown how could this summit touch people? How could it lift people? How could it be a vibration? And how could I be a voice that would ignite these 22 speakers to be their most intimate and their most open and their most available? And I asked these questions, the 5 questions, and then I would journal. And I did that for several days. And things just started coming through, including that I was to call a woman. You and I both know Humanities Team. And I was to call Dee, who is one of the leaders at Humanities Team because they do summits all the time, and ask her for her advice. And she gave me an entire layout of what it would do to make a successful summit. And I know it's because I was open enough to be innovative, because up until that moment, I hadn't thought about her in a very long time.
It sounds like the entry into these different castles is also rising into more of a fifth dimensional consciousness. It's where we're stepping out of the 3D world. We're stepping out of the 4D world where we're doing some of that inner work and that shadow work. And we're really lifting ourselves up into that fifth dimensional space where we access higher consciousness, but we also have the manifestation tools to swirl that energy. So very well illustrated in some of your images within the book. Have you felt like this is a dimensional experience for individuals?
I hadn't thought about it as the fifth dimension, but what I have thought about is that it takes people out of what they consider to be reality, what they consider to be the construct of what their life is or should look like. It takes it out and it says, what if you don't know? What if you don't have to know? What if you just get to open and step into the dimensions of frequency, high level frequency, that allow you to explore beyond what you think you know?
And that's really the place that I think we have forgotten, that we have this access to information because we're all part of the one. And so this access is there, but as long as we stay in our story, in our identity, in this thing we call reality, our lenses are too small in this space to see the expansiveness of what you're showing us inside the castles.
Because here's the thing, when you talk about fifth dimension, you're talking about a higher level of consciousness that isn't a place. What lives there is love and oneness and unity and transcendence and ascending. And you can't get there if you're holding on and attached to what the world looks like, how you've been enculturated.
These castles also support the issues that are taking place within a person's experience. For example, the castle of relationships. If someone is moving through a challenge in their relationship, can entering the castle of relationships support them in coming to clarity or finding ways to improve that relationship?
Oh, 100%. And, I told you earlier that relationships been a path of discovery for me. Way before this book, I was looking at all the series of relationships and the challenges, and I'm like, okay, I'm the common denominator here. What is it that I need to heal, transform, transcend to create the relationships that feel harmonic and connected? And so you can do that in the castle of relationships. You can go in and do some self-exploration. Or if you're in a family, there's a lot of family dynamics going on right now with the world the way that it is. You can go in and it's like, what do you need to do to stand in your center beyond what other people are doing or saying? How do you become a place of love and acceptance and not a doormat, but a place that says, I get where you are and I may or may not be able to interact with that for my own health and well-being, but I can move out of a space of judgment.
So I have to ask, which is your favorite castle?
I think it's between dance and art. Because I love to, I will turn on music and dance with my dogs. There's something freeing about movement. And especially if I'm going through something and I feel like I'm stuck, if I dance it out, then clarity can come. I'm not great at drawing or painting or anything, but I do write poetry. Artistry comes as poetry and music. It comes through the castle of art in that way.
All of these castles and the processes you're describing, they do appear to really open a person to deeper intimacy in a world that is so wrought right now with separation, people feeling divided even within themselves. It is that return to intimacy that is going to reconnect us to love and to gratitude and kindness, the spaces of essence that we truly are, that we are kind of letting go to the wayside at times. Can you speak of how you're seeing intimacy show up in a greater way?
Community is a powerful entity. And the book clubs, it's like an instant community because they're not only going through the book, they're having conversations and dialogues about how they relate to that castle, what it means to them, and they give each other support. As they do the meditations or whatever it is that they're doing in the group comes out in this openness and they speak authentically and they're heard and people support them, not to fix them or give them advice, but to just say, I hear you. What is it that's calling you next? Because we, the group, will hold you.
Thank you so much, Cynthia James, for bringing all of your wisdom, your beautiful creativity, and your presence to 1111 Talk Radio with this magnificent kingdom of magic and mystery. It's been a delight to have you here.
My honor, Simran. Thank you for inviting me.
Journey through 7 magical castles, each representing a unique realm of transformation: magic, art, dance, relationships, design, water, and animals. The kingdom of magic and mystery is always here for you. Its gates are wide open. It's ready to welcome you back anytime you want. Each step you take into this enchanted land is a step toward understanding yourself more fully. The experiences, the challenges, and the moments of insight you encounter are now part of your story, and the magic of this kingdom doesn't end when you walk away. It always travels with you, whispering to you in quiet moments, reminding you of your connection to the magic within. This is from Cynthia James' book, The Kingdom of Magic and Mystery, 7 Castles of Revelation, Inspiration, and Creativity to Activate Joy and Freedom. If you're in a book club or you want to start one, go ahead and start with this book, and then you can invite Cynthia to one of your meetings to speak. Find out more at cynthiajames.net. Thank you so much for spending time. If you're looking for some additional support and guidance, and you really want to dive into the subtle, then there are quite a few options on my website at iamsimran.com that have to do with shadow work or manifestation if you want a more focused approach on a particular thing, as well as individual sessions around deciphering signs, symbols, and synchronicities, gaining a better understanding of how the universe is speaking to you, your particular dialect. That link is in the bio description. Until next week, I am Simran, in love, of love, with love, and as love. Be well.
Thank you for opening your mind to a new reality, your heart to greater compassion, and your experience of aliveness with 1111 Talk Radio. Join host Simran next Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern Time to step through the gateway of conscious living. You are not on the journey. You are the journey.